It's January, and we're going to talk about the hard things. Returns. Post-Christmas. All sorts of things happen to packages. It's horrifying. There are three sort of main causes for returns. One is a busted product. There's something wrong with it. That's the worst case scenario because that affects your business. You've done something wrong. Basically, it's your fault. That's going to be pretty rare. It should be rare. The other one is customs. That's not uncommon. Customs have popped the box open to have a look and see what's inside. One is lost parcels, so it's not really a return, it's just gone away, magically disappeared somewhere. Most people assume that the postal service somewhere along the line has stolen it. It's not always the case, but the other one is fraud. So I'll give you a couple of horrible examples of those, but I've had a couple of returns. It's January. There was one in December from Etsy, slightly jarring, didn't like that one, but the other one was customs. So they're not uncommon. My worst ones were to the US, and there's nothing wrong with the customer, didn't do anything wrong. The postal service hasn't done anything wrong. The package has just gone somewhere. Somebody's nicked it, or it has been lost somewhere in any of the number of transfers from vans to lorries to airplanes between here and there. So it's a long way to go for a small parcel, but it cost £40 in delivery, and the customer paid £40. So they want a refund because they didn't get it, which makes perfect sense. But £40 on postage is a shed load. Now people will spend £20 on biscuits and £40 on delivery, and that's not uncommon, especially for the US and Australia. But they want something from Ireland and they will pay the postage for it, so that's grand until you get a return. So £40 wipes out the profit on that order and about the next 4 or 5 orders, or maybe more. So it's absolutely gut-wrenching, and you immediately think it's not worth it. If I get 1 in 5 orders from the US returned, then it's not worth shipping to the US. So that's where you got to get it in perspective. Is it worth is it financially worth it sending to that country if you got a lot of returns? Italy is renowned for stolen and destroyed packaging. I don't know why, something about their postal service, but Italy is famous for it. So for the US it's pretty rare, I find, so my products, my shipping. So I've got to look at it over the year. If I get 1 or 2 returns, yes, that's the loss of profits on 5 to 10 orders. That's a lot. But if I'm shipping enough, it's fine. But the other way to look at it is, if I worked for a big company and I was in the shipping department and I get returns, you just crack them open, repack it, or you refund it, whatever way you handle it, and you just get on with it. And it's like, well, that's expensive, nightmare. And you move on to the next one. And you don't worry about it because you're not attached to the product. Because it's your product and your cash flow, it feels huge and hairy and horrible. And you've got to get past that in your head. So you've just got to face it and say, yeah, that was expensive. Tick, there's an order that came returned, there's the cost of it. This is how many orders I'm now fulfilling for free until I recover the cost of that. It's painful, but get it in perspective. When you've got enough orders coming through, it becomes 1 in 100, 1 in 200 orders. And then it's hateful, but it's not the end of the world, and it's just business. So yeah, when you're your micro business, it's really painful. I think I had 2 in a row in the US a couple of years ago, and yeah, it was about 80 quid I had to cover. So the next day or 2 days of orders going out of Christmas, I was working for free. It was painful, and I started to think, should I not ship to the US? But when you look at the cost over the year, went back and looked at the number of orders, was it worth it? Yeah, it's still worth it. So still painful. But the other reason is customs. Customs need to check things, and if TV shows are to be believed, coffee is especially worth checking. So something to do with smuggling drugs and coffee being smelly. I've never tried it. Apparently it's one way of masking smelly drugs. But customs have got to crack it open. So back it comes, ripped open. I had a gift box go to Europe just before Christmas there, and it came, but the customer got in touch with photographs and said, look, what's happened? I presume you didn't send me a bust open box. Obviously not. But the customs have opened the box. There was a box of tea, a packet of biscuits, and a box of coffee. So there's quite a few of these went out over to Europe at Christmas, but one of them has been cracked open. And that's fair enough. They had burst open the perforations on the box of tea, but didn't take any tea bags out, so they got 10 tea bags. Biscuits were intact, they looked fine. The coffee had been opened. It wasn't a sealed box, you can just crack it open, but they'd taken half of the coffee sachets out of it. So the customer only got half the coffee. They got in touch and said, what can we do about it? So a couple of options are, I can refund part of the order, I could refund the value of the coffee, which is the bare minimum I could do. There was just refund the order. Or I could offer to send something else to the receiving customer. The advantage of that is the person who sent the gift doesn't know something's gone wrong. They've sent a gift, they've done their part, they're happy. The person receiving the order gets something nice. So I have trade show stock. I used to sell additional stuff in gift baskets with tea towels and magnetic bottle openers. I have a few of those knocking about, so they're worth a few quid. So I send a couple of these out. They're worth about £10. But I've got to pay the shipping again to the customer, to Europe, which isn't cheap. But package it up, put a little note in it, say, sorry about that. It's not my fault, it's customs, but I want a happy customer. I want the person who sent the gift to not know, ideally, so that they're happy they've sent a gift and they've done their part. And I want the customers to say, great, they're happy. What I don't want to do is overcompensate, because then word gets around, great, receive a parcel, crack it open, tell him you didn't get part of the order, he'll send you freebies. So you don't want that either. So I did send them a little something, but they had to work for it. They got to send you the photographs, and they've got to show the shipping has come through, and I've got to get in touch with the customs and shipping and say, look, this is what's happened, can you verify this has happened, this kind of thing. So there's a bit of a delay and there's a process. On Etsy, it's actually a scam. It's a well-known scam, and it's not exclusive to Etsy, but it's known as the Etsy scam. You can read about it on Reddit and how to do it, which is horrible. But as a small business owner, where you're sending out a couple of orders a week maybe, or one a day, to lose 1 or 2 orders to some thieving scoob is hateful. But you don't know if they were or not. You don't know if they stole, or they just, what the scam is, that they receive the box, they crack something open, especially individually wrapped products inside, like biscuits. They take a couple of biscuits out and munch them and say, oh look, I only got half a packet of biscuits. Somebody in the postal service nicked them. So in the UK, that's pretty rare. Italy is famous for it. Don't know why. Italy postage system. But you've got to take them at face value. You've got to treat your customers as nice people. The chances are they are nice. And if you treat them as anything other than that, you're assuming all your customers are horrible, which you can't do, because you're just going to run your business into the ground. So you got to assume they're nice, but you can't make it too easy. You need photographs of the box of what's happened. You need whatever delivery details they have, and you got to get in touch with the post office and say, look, this has happened, and report it, and write up a little note that says this is what's happened. Now, it feels painful the first time. Once you've done it once, you can send it on. You just send a copy and paste Word document and say, this is what's happened. Get them to put their name on it and verify this is what's happened. This is them to explain what has happened. It feels painful, but it just makes life that little bit longer for them. You can't just say, oh, biscuits are missing, send me more. So it weeds out a lot of the freebies, people trying to get free stuff for nothing. They got to work for it. Slightly painful for the customer, but not nearly as painful for you when you're losing the value of that order and you having to either refund it or send them a replacement. Either way, that's the profit on the next 2 or 3 orders potentially gone, or if it was to the US, it could be the next 10 orders. So you have to protect yourself, but you have to treat your customers nice. You have to assume they're nice and work with them. Etsy will say in their policy that it's up to you how you do it. So it's not Etsy's fault. They're providing the platform to get the product out there, and 99.9% of your customers will be amazing. 0.1% of them will be turnips. So, and then another 0.1% will actually receive a broken or partly stolen package. Nothing you can do. But you got to keep it in perspective. Get it in your head. Yes, it's painful. But when your orders grow and you got more and you got loads, if you find Etsy is getting you a lot of returns, down the line you're going to drop Etsy. You're going to have Yumbles and can't remember the others, but you're going to have Amazon, your own website, all the other channels you're selling on. Get it in perspective and weed out the channels which cause you problems. Also, you can blacklist customers. You'll see that name come through, and you can also block them on different channels. Now, you don't block them after the first order, but if the same person orders 3 times and gets 3 broken boxes, either their postie is completely bent or they are. So you can block them. It's something to look into. Don't torture yourself over it. It's very easy to get very depressed over burst open and busted orders. So get it in perspective. Have a policy for yourself that says this is what we do. These are the hoops you've got to jump through. You've got to send photographs. You've got to fill in the report for the courier or the Royal Mail. They'll have them on their websites as to what information they need for a claim. If you are claiming, put it in. Now, Royal Mail say post isn't lost for 3 months. Try telling that to your customer. Sorry, can't refund you for 3 months until the Royal Mail pay up. So you've got to refund them in a timely manner. Or send replacements. You got to sort it. Then you put your claim in and you deal with Royal Mail or your courier, whoever you send with. So that's the way it works. I've had quite a few claims through Royal Mail and it has come back and have paid, but it's 4 or 5 months. So painful in the cash flow department, but when you're a small business, £5-10 is painful. Down the line, when you're doing 100 orders a week, 100 orders a day, it's not such an issue. It's just part of the process. The other thing is, don't overcompensate. Don't send people tons of freebies, tons of gifts, because when that gets out, people are like, oh, I'll order a £5 product, claim it's crap or broken, and they'll send me better stuff. So be careful how you keep people happy. But also don't be afraid to share that in your socials. Tell people, look at this, ripped open in the customs, lost in the post in the US. Make it a nightmare. Show people how horrible it is, because as a micro business, it is horrible. It's literally really expensive, and absolutely gut-wrenching, especially when you lose 2 packages to America in a row at £40 delivery each time. That was painful. Still painful. Not bitter. So yeah, returns, they're a pain, but get them in perspective, get yourself a policy, and be nice to your customers, and you'll get there.